First of all, congratulations. This is such a scary movie to watch.
Right.
What was it like going through the process of making this?
It was it was bananas, my friend. It was a
Mhm,
crazy shoot. I think we was shooting at an old retirement facility that had just been abandoned.
mhm,
It was 100 years old. It had an inherent creep to it.
mhm,
I think it was haunted. There was many strange things happening, and I think we were all slowly going nuts because we were shooting in these weird corridors in the sub basement, and it just had this weird psychological effect that we were all
mhm,
a lot of us were staying there at night. We was shooting very late at night, so we were sleeping
mhm,
in. We didn't have trailers, so we was staying in the quarters of previous residents. Pete was next to me, my producer was next to me, some of the cast was nearby. So we were kind of living there as if we lived there.
mhm,
And and it just added to a creep value. We were hearing things at night. It was just an enormous place too. It was the size of a small city. So yeah, so the process was
mhm,
it was crazy and it was blending two generations, which was interesting too. The Pete generation, the young generation, and when you had these old amazing actors, they probably get mad at me when I say old, these these veteran
mhm,
amazing actors who just were wonderful Shakespearean trained theater
mhm,
actors, and he blended right into it. But it was a tough one. We had a lot of blood effects, and
mhm,
we had Pete putting that clamp in his eye. That's actually his eye. So we had a lot of strange things. We had a scene that we
mhm,
cut out with a centipede that it was a tropical centipede that got lost on the set, and we found out that if it bit someone, the person would be paralyzed for an hour. So very strange things
mhm.
were happening. So it was a crazy shoot, but I think every shoot is crazy in and of itself,
Mhm,
and it should be somewhat crazy, especially when you're making a crazy movie. It feeds the
mhm.
mood.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. Strange stuff started happening on set. Uh,
Yeah.
when stuff like that happens, what's the reaction for you? To take care of your actors and make sure that they're safe while all this is going on.
Yeah, the centipede thing, we all just ran. So that was,
Mhm,
and they found the centipede. Here's the weird part about the centipede story. I never used it. I wanted to use it in a dream sequence, and it was quite
mhm.
large. It was about 8 inches, and it
Wow.
was very creepy looking. They eventually found it, and they had to lock down the set because it was poisonous.
Mhm,
It went inside, the statue I keep cutting to, the Dia statue that's in front of the home,
mhm,
creepy face statue. It went inside the statue and was living inside the head of the statue. So it was very strange.
mhm,
We found that odd. But the true weird thing that happened is the older woman in the film, Mary Beth Peel, her name is Norma in the movie, if you remember. We found ourselves shooting in a room where they had a plaque on the wall of every room of who lived there and who died in that room. And the previous tenant who died there was named Norma.
mhm,
And we found they left some of their stuff. I guess the exit was quite quick. Some of the personal belongings of the previous residents were left behind. And the crew found a music box underneath the bed of Norma. And it was the song on the music box with three songs. One of the three songs was the song that Norma was playing on the piano in the movie. And it freaked everyone out. So, so no one, thank God, no one was in jeopardy. Everybody was safe, but there was
mhm,
this underlying feeling of dread. And I think it was helping the movie. I like it. I like when weird things happen. I do believe maybe there are other forces at play in the world. So I was like, oh, you never know. Maybe who knows who's watching over us and why this is all
mhm.
happening. But it was a fun, crazy one.
Awesome. Going with that and the fact that these are classically trained actors, how important was it to get people who weren't able to just act it, but that we were able to really care about? Because I think one of the reasons that we're so creeped out because we really caring about not just Pete's character, but all the characters in the story.
Oh, thank you, man. I take that. I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Mhm,
We really spent time, Adam and I, on, and even in editing with Pete and Todd, my editors, spend a lot of time trying to make you care, empathize with
mhm,
these characters. Not just Pete, obviously, as the leader, but Norma, John
mhm,
Glover, old Lou, everybody, even the smaller characters, Natalie Schmidt and Ethan Johnny Phillips, who were the couple, the French woman and her husband. We really try to spend enough time so you get to know these inhabitants so that when things start to happen, you're invested, right? You're
mhm,
invested in how it's unfolding. But it does take, in modern, it's interesting. I grew up watching mostly 70s and 80s films, 60s films, and films back in the day took their time. I think the studios were it was a different time. Financing was different, box office was different. And I think the studios allowed for movies to have a longer setup to create character. And I get very worried in modern films. Sometimes I'll watch movies that don't allow for the filmmakers and the writers to spend that time so that we care. And I find myself watching a lot of movies where I just don't care. So we took a chance, not took a chance. So we working with Miramax, and they allowed us to to build character on top of dread and on top of horror. It was as important to build character so that the final payoffs meant more to the audience if you were invested and cared about the characters early on.
For you, the collaborative process, what is that like when you have actors of such high caliber, and that are willing to play with the character and kind of make it their own.
And that's exactly what I tell them, man. It's I love working with actors. It's my favorite part of the process. And I say, this is your character. Yes, we wrote it in the script, but now we're kind of giving it to you. Own it, make it, bring ideas to me, change dialogue on set. I'm not, Adam nor I are, we don't look at the script as Bible. We think it's an ever-changing thing as new collaborators enter the process from production design to DP to the actors. Hopefully everybody's owning their own craft and adding layers to what we've written. So yeah, it's a blueprint, the script, but let's build upon that with actor ideas, DP ideas, production designer ideas. So yeah, I love, and I think I hopefully have a good relationship with actors because I'm not pigeonholing them to you have to say every word exactly as I wrote it, or you have to stand here. I like to keep an environment that's loose and creative, conducive to input, to getting input and allowing them freedom to build their character.
Uh, Overall, this movie is fantastic. How satisfied are you with the end product?
Dude, I'm never satisfied. I'm one of those guys who I could keep editing, but I do love this one specifically. I love Pete and I love those last 25 minutes. I did fall in
Mm,
love. I'm usually the most critical. I don't like my stuff. I can't look at it,
mm,
but I'm actually looking forward to watching that, that final twist. I hope really gets people, and I think that last 25 is sometimes, you write things. That's the closest to my original vision that I've had in any of my movies, that last kind of 25 minutes of
mm,
madness because sometimes you don't get close. Sometimes for various reasons, it's not what you really envisioned. This one, I feel like that last 25 is very close to what I had in my head. So I hope people enjoy it as much as I do. But I'm my worst critic. So it's I wish I could keep editing, but this one I'm pretty happy with.
mm. Um, Going with that, how, what research did you do, or how do you convey what you have in your head to a DP in order for them to get the shots that you want? Because this movie is shot very beautifully. It has some very original shots that I think the movie can really benefit from.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to tell my DP that he's wonderful. Yeah, I've now it's my third movie with Anastas Mikos. He's the DP, and he's truly an artist. He's a friend. He's an artist, and we really get very close through the process. It's like going through a battle together, where we would say, just really fighting for something. And we watch a lot of movies together. He's a big reader. I'm a big reader, so we take oddly imagery from books and then we interpret it. We go to museums together. We look at we look at paintings. I'm a big color means a lot to me. Colors, they change my emotion. So we talk about the color palette a lot. What the exterior is going to evoke, what the interior is going to evoke. We have a cool palette on the exterior, a warm palette on the interior, and then the warm palette kind of dissipates as we get into that third act, and we're working more with gray and blue. So we really dive into color palettes, and then lensing. I'm a huge fan of the long lens. So Taz really allows me to explore long lens and what that evokes. So we really work closely together, but it's that mutual language that I
Mhm,
think we now have being the third film. We watch movies, we talk about what scene wants to. It was a great movie. One of my favorite films is called Three Women by Robert Altman that became an incredibly huge inspiration, as is Rosemary's Baby and The Tenant, other movies from the 70s.
mhm,
So yeah, it's all that really working together. And I play music on set. This is how I get the whole crew kind of on the same page. I think music, it's a universal language. So I had a lot of Pink Floyd, blasting Pink Floyd on set to get everybody, early Pink Floyd. It's very cinematic. I think it gets everybody
mhm,
in the same mood because you want everybody on that same page. And I was playing Gerald Busby's score from the movie Women, which is really haunting. And Pete was actually playing a lot of rap music, which was fun. So we were battling like whose music was louder, but it became like a generational battle.
mhm.
I'm playing Pink Floyd from the 70s. He's playing Kendrick Lamar. So it kind of fit the themes of the movie, of battle of generations, kind of fun. So anyway, I hope I answered that one.
You did, and to go a little bit further, how how fun is it to have somebody that you can talk the talk with, because it seems that you're extremely passionate about this. You're very knowledgeable. So how, how much fun is it to just play with somebody who gets you like that?
Oh, it's the great search, right? I'm very lucky to have a producing partner who I met, Sebastien Lemercier. He's
Mhm.
French German, and we met on when I was writing a movie for his company in France called the remake of Assault on Precinct 13. And that's what we always say. He speaks French and German. He does speak English, but we both speak the same language of film. We love the same films. So to find that, and then I found it with Anastas Mikos. So you start finding people around you that you speak the same, and it's a great question because it's something no one's ever asked. It is the greatest. If you could find that, you could find those collaborations where you're all on the same page. It truly makes the process exponentially easier. And it's a hard process making a movie, right?
Mhm.
You work really hard, you could still make a bad film, which I've done. There's the same amount of work goes into good and bad. And I always tell people that, like, oh, people ask me, did they set out to make a bad film? Like, no one sets out to make a bad film. It's just things don't coalesce. But I think when you find those collaborators who speak that language and there's that passion because you're all going towards the same goal and you start off with that shared common language. It's a wonderful thing, and I think it's rare. I don't know. I mean, I hope it's not rare. I hope other filmmakers find it, but I've been very lucky, I think, in finding multiple collaborators who speak that similar language.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. This is definitely a good film for you. And thank you very much for your time.
Jesus, thank you, man. Great questions, man. Have a great day.